what are all the particles? What are all the pieces? What are all the things you need to do in order to buy a house? You ready to go through it? Let's get you from A to Keys. Stand by. All right, everybody. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at Keller Williams. How you doing? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is a question I get all the time from people. What does it really take to buy a house? What are the steps? What's the process? What's the flow? Can I get a checklist so I make sure I'm covering everything I need to cover? That's what we're going to cover today, okay? So this is super exciting, and if you want a printout of this, stick around, watch to the end. I'll tell you how to get that, okay? So, and I'm going to refer to it. I'm going to refer to my notes so I don't leave anything out. You need to start, step one, with a lender. Yep. Now look, I know no one wakes up in the morning and thinks, oh my God, I can't wait. I have got to get a loan today. That's going to be the thing. Fulfillment of my life. No one thinks they want a loan. But people that want a home generally need to start with a loan. Unless you're paying cash, you're going to start with a loan. So that means you got to start with a lender. They'll be able to tell you how much home you can afford given your current circumstances. I recommend you do this as early as possible. Like if you wake up one day and you think, hey, I think I'd like to buy a house, or what would it take to buy a house? Or should I keep renting? I mean, what's the deal here? Any of those thoughts, go find a lender. Ask them. They'll pull your credit. They'll take all your information, and you will wind up with a really clear picture of how much you can afford. And if you can't afford the kind of house you want, you'll be left clear about what you'll need to do to get that house. They'll pull your credit. You'll know if there's things you need to repair for your credit. All that stuff. A year out, 2 years out is a brilliant time to start. Now, obviously the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. But the second best time is today. So get started. Go find a lender. Now, how you find a lender, you should check out my How You Should Find a Lender video, and that'll give you that answer. But you want to start this process with a lender, okay? Then you meet with the lender. The second step in the process is you actually meet with them. It's important you find one you can meet with in person. None of this rocket mortgage nonsense. None of this push button get loan. No, push button get screwed. More like, no, go find a lender personally, okay? Sit down. Go over your needs, your wants, all the things that you're dealing with, the constraints, all the different things you've got, how long you want to live in the house. All those things impact the loan you're going to get. If you're planning on living there for 20 years, there's one set of criteria the loan officer will recommend. But if you are looking at moving in 5 years, there's a different set of criteria. So you want to get to your loan officer all the information about your particular situation, what you want, what you're looking for, your dreams, your hopes, all that stuff, so that the loan officer can make the right recommendation for you. All right? Again, if you want to really see how to pick a loan officer and the questions to ask for the loan officer when you're interviewing them, check out my video. Next, after you've gone to the loan officer and you've gotten all the information to them, okay, which means you have to give them all your financial records. If you are a salaried employee, then you would send them your W-2s. If you are a self-employed person like me, you would send them your tax records, your taxes. Either way, you got to get all the records your loan officer asks you for and send them to them, okay? That, I don't know how long that's going to take you. For me, it would take a month to pull together because I hate that stuff and I don't keep good records like that. For other people, it could take them like 20 minutes because they love that stuff and they just go, oh, yeah, I happen to have all my W-2s right here. I'm not that person, okay? So your loan officer is going to get all that. They're going to consult with you back and forth and really get for you, here is the maximum monthly payment you can afford, which will then give you the maximum amount they'll lend you. Now you know how much to shop for. Now you know how much home you can afford. Then you find a realtor. And if you want to learn how to find a realtor, watch that video there. But once you've found a realtor and you know how much you're comfortable spending, and I recommend you do not spend every dollar you're pre-qualified for. I think that's a big mistake. I think you want to spend less than you're pre-qualified for, but you want to then get to your realtor and then begin to discuss, with this much money, how much house can I afford? With this much money, where would I need to live? You know, I always tell people 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You should price, location, and amenities are the 3 things. Price is now really probably not one of the things you can move on. So then you ask your realtor, given this price, where would I have to live? To get this kind of stuff in my house, I need to have 3 bedrooms. Good. So where can I live where I can get 3 bedrooms? Or I need to be 20 minutes from work. How much house can I get living within that radius? One of those other things. So that way you can figure out if it's the right time to buy. And if you want to know whether or not to buy a house, watch that video there. So I got videos for everything if you can't figure that out. But now you've gone to a realtor and you've decided this is the area I can live in and these are the houses that are available. Great. Start your shopping online. Start clicking through. Your realtor can send you listings. Start clicking through the pictures. Come up with 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 options. Then you go shop, boots on the ground, in the house, because as much as life is turning virtual and everything is going to online and all that's great, Zestimates are nonsense. Redfin estimates are nonsense. Why? Because they can't tell you if the neighbor's house has cars up on blocks. They can't tell you if right across the street is a power station. None of that stuff is going to be reflected on in online evaluations, online pricing. So forget about the online stuff when you're buying a house. It's too big of a project. It's got too many moving parts. Boots on the ground with a realtor, familiar with the area, someone who can actually tell you what's happening there, someone who's got your back. Start previewing houses. Get in them. Now, I've had people shop for over a year. I've had people shop for 1 day. It really depends on what you find and how particular you are about finding whatever's there. You got to keep in mind that when you're shopping, whatever list of criteria you have, you're counting on another person having that house and be willing to sell it when you're looking. So you got to be a little bit broader. Now, if you're going for new construction, great, fabulous. And you may be able to find someone to build you the exact house you want. So then you're shopping for land. Fantastic. Either way, you're going to shop. Once you find the house, you now want to write the offer. And this is where your interviewing of realtors is going to have really paid off. Okay, your interviewing of realtors is going to be able to tell you this person, this realtor, knows what they're doing because they're going to provide you a comparative market analysis of the house you're writing the offer on and show you what houses around there have been going for to get a general ballpark idea of, is this house worth it or not? Is this house priced well or not? Now, they're not going to be able to tell you if the house is worth it. You're the only person that's going to be able to say if the house is worth it. Is it worth it? Means, is it worth it to you? That's the question you got. If the house is worth it to you, great. But you're the only one who gets to say. And you just want some general idea to know, will it appraise? And will you be able to resell it later at more than what you're paying for it? But so you do want to get a real comparative market analysis done, and your realtor should provide that for you. You then get to come up with what it's worth to you. And this is what you want to tell your realtor. Over this dollar amount, we don't want it. Under this dollar amount, we will think we got a great deal. You need to give your realtor that dollar amount. That's your walk away point. That's the dollar over which you will not spend. So now you can create a winning offer. You can then begin to create an offer that's gonna capture the house for your dollar amount or below. And if you can't, if someone else is going to offer over that dollar amount, you don't have to invest the time or the emotional energy in that house, because the house is only worth what you're willing to offer it and they're willing to accept. If the next person is willing to offer more, it's not your house. So that's that step, okay? You write the offer. Now, after you've written the offer, you're going to negotiate the offer with the seller. They may just accept it. They may counteroffer. They may laugh. They may cry, whatever. But you're going to go back and forth with that seller and hopefully secure the house. You're now what's called mutual. You've mutually agreed to the house. So you are there on the chart, but there on the chart. Like I said, I'll give you a copy of this at the end. I'll show you how. But you're now mutual. All right. Mutual means they've accepted the terms you've offered and you have agreed to perform in a particular fashion on a particular timeline, and you must now perform. The first performance you have is to deposit your earnest money with the seller in escrow. Okay, so you're going to deposit the earnest money, which is generally between 1% and 2%. That's the general amount of the purchase price. You're going to write a check for that amount, and the escrow company is going to take that and put it in their bank account. Okay, they're going to hold that money. So you need that much money liquid. Okay. Once that earnest, that you'll generally have 48 hours to get that money in. Now you want to start the inspection process. The inspection process is an inspector you pay for that's going to go to the house, and they're going to crawl up in the attic. They're going to go in the crawl space. They're going to go all over the house. And from there, they're going to be able to give you a report about what they find. Okay. You should probably plan on being at the house with the inspector for about an hour and a half. The inspector is going to take about 3 hours. So let them be there for an hour and a half without you. Really, don't bug them for the first hour and a half. Let them just work. Then they'll show you everything they found. So you don't need to be there the whole time they're there. Okay. In fact, I recommend you not, because it's just frankly distracting. If you want to measure or paint or get ready for painting or whatever, you can be there. But the inspector is going to need to work without you for a while. Then they're going to tell you what the deficiencies are in the house. And they'll come up with 100 things, really 100 things. And you're then going to get to negotiate with the seller to repair some of those things. Now, some of them may be deal breakers. They may find that the home is slipping off its foundation. You're like, we don't want it at all. Some things they may find like, hey, there's rodent activity in the crawl space, which really, if you're buying in Seattle, I'm telling you now, there's rodent activity in your crawl space. Okay. There may be something like that, but you may want them to do something about that. Or you may want them to repair the leaky faucet, or you may want them to, caulk the outside. There may be things you want to repair. So you have a whole new period to negotiate. You can walk away if they don't do what you ask them to do. Now, if you ask them for too much, they may say, fine, walk away. We'll sell it to someone else. So you got to be strategic about what you offer. But given what you paid, and given what the market is doing, your realtor, if you picked well, should be able to negotiate something off the purchase price, or some cash back at closing, or some repairs for you at this point. So you want to go through with your agent. What are the repairs that you could expect to get done? Could you not expect to get done? And then, like all negotiations, ask for more. They'll offer a little bit less. And if you did it right, you'll get more than you really wanted to have, and get a little bit more money off, okay? Once the inspection process is complete, you can then order the appraisal. The appraisal is also something you'll pay for, but you won't have any access to the appraiser. The appraiser is set by there's a middleman between the lender and the appraisal company. There's an appraisal management company. So they'll send an appraiser out. The appraiser's job is to come up with a dollar value for the house, to confirm for the lender that they could resell it if you default at the price they're lending you, okay? It's not setting the real value of the house. There is no real value of the house. The fact that you offered and they accepted it is the real value for the house. That, by definition, is market value. You found a house on the market, you offered a dollar amount for it, they took it, value. However, the lender needs confirmation that the price you decided and they accepted, isn't more than they could sell it for later. So they're going to come up with a value. Almost always that's going to come in at what you paid for it. It is never going to come in $1,000 less or more. It's not that precise. If it's going to be off, if the appraiser is going to find a discrepancy, it's going to be in the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 range. Okay? It's got to be enough to have the lender, have the appraiser not be able to justify the price. So if it's within a couple of grand, the appraiser is going to say that's close enough. I can justify this price. But if it's off, it's likely to be off by a bunch. If it's off, which is rare, but if it's off, you have a couple of options. You can walk away and get your earnest money back. You could demand that the seller lower the price to match the appraised value, or you'll walk away. Or you can pay the difference, right? You could say, fine, we really want it, and we're going to make that up with additional down payment. Or you could do something in between. Seller comes down a little, you go up a little. There you go. Which one's the right one? None. Any. Whatever works best for you. But that appraisal opens up the opportunity for another negotiation. It's going to cost you money, so you don't order that appraisal until after the inspection is negotiated. Because if you don't negotiate the inspection well, like if you don't come to terms with the inspection, you don't want to have paid for an appraisal. That would be a waste. So don't do that, okay? However, you've gone through inspection, you've gone through appraisal. Excellent, good job. Now, the entire package gets sent back to underwriting. Underwriting, what's that? Underwriting are the people that really control the loan. Your lender is a pretty face. The underwriter is the person who gets to say yes or no. And the underwriter, this is critical. And if you go back to my video on how to pick a lender, this is the most important piece of picking a lender, because the underwriter is really the person in charge. And you want to make sure that they're going to take everything that they have, which is your credit, your financial history, your whole picture, your whole financial picture, plus the picture of the house, the collateral, and decide, yes, you and this house are worth it. And you want to make sure the underwriter gets all that information. Your lender should provide it. And they say yes to you. There may be, from the underwriter, what's called final conditions. What are final conditions? That means they found something new and they need you to do this. They need another W-2. They need another tax record. They need a canceled check. They need something from you. Okay? And they're going to ask you to provide it. That's final conditions. Once final conditions are met, the underwriter goes, underwriter won't say that. The underwriter will just put a check on it, but your lender will call you and say, dude, you're in. Now, ready? They will release what are called the closing disclosures. Okay? This is a document, and it needs to be in your hands for 3 days before you can sign for the loan. This is a relatively new practice. It didn't happen. If you bought a home 5 years ago, it didn't happen. That is designed to end any kind of predatory lending practices. People were showing up at the closing table and signing their loan documents, not realizing that there was a balloon payment or some really draconian kind of thing tucked into the loan. So everything in this document is very well clearly laid out. It's universal, meaning it doesn't matter what state you're in. The closing disclosures look the same. And they are very clear about what you're spending for the loan. This, by the way, this cost for the loan needs to match the closing estimate you got with your lender at the beginning of the process. However, you now get to see everything that you're going to pay for this loan. 3 days later, you can go sign all the documents for your house. That's not closing. That's just signing. Somewhere between signing, or the closing disclosures at least, and getting the keys, you should plan on doing a final walkthrough of the property with your lender. With your realtor. So you want to get over to the house, because it's been about a month since this whole thing started, since you went mutual. It's been about 30 days. A lot of stuff could have happened. A break-in, a pipe burst. They haven't moved out completely. When they moved out, they scratched the floor. When they moved out, they took pictures with them, and now you see there's holes in the wall. There's lots of things that could have happened to the house, and you want to do a final walkthrough to make sure you're good with the condition. If you're not, you can still put the kibosh on the whole process. You can still stop it. They didn't remove, I just closed the house recently, and they didn't remove some old paint. So I called the realtor and said, hey, you got to remove this paint. We don't want to dispose of this paint. Get rid of it. So they came by, they got rid of it, and we went ahead and closed. All right, so that's the final walkthrough. But you've got the closing disclosures because you got final approval. You've signed your documents, you've done your final walkthrough. Now and the seller could have signed anywhere in there. Now the escrow company is going to put all that stuff together, all that documentation together, and they are going to let the lender know they need to fund the loan. The lender will fund the loan, meaning send the money to escrow. Once escrow gets that money, they release the deed to the title to record in your name. So that means the title gets transferred from the old owner to you. Now, once it's recorded with the county, so they usually release to record sometime around 10, 11, noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. The county will record it sometime before 5 p.m. And you, once it's recorded, can get the keys to your new house. That is closing. You've now closed on your house. You have the keys, okay? There's other variables, but that's the basic timeline. Now, if you want a copy of the timeline, the checklist, the flow, no problem. I'm going to get you that. And I will get you a copy of my book. It's a best-selling book, Shortchanged by Shortcuts, 44 Surprising Ways People Rip Themselves Off When Buying or Selling Their Home. I will send you this and this hard copy, not some PDF. Like, this is a book. If you do 3 things. The 3 things are: 1, subscribe to this YouTube channel. 2, comment below that you want this stuff. And 3, share it on your social media. Share it on Facebook, share it somewhere. If this made a difference for you and you want that information, those are 3 things you could do that would get you free copies of that stuff. So, what else? What other questions do you have? What questions did I not answer? Is this valuable for you? Do you think this is useful? Let me know. Comment below. I'll send you that stuff. I appreciate your coming around. Let me know if you have any questions. Doesn't matter where in the country you live. I got a network of realtors. I can help you with any of that, anything home buying anywhere in the country. Let me know what I can do for you. Have a great day. See you later.